Welcome to the Expert Speaker Podcast. We have Michelle Weger here today, author of this book on narcolepsy. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you very much.
I forgot the title of your book. Tell me again.
Don't Snooze Your Dreams, Lessons from Life with Narcolepsy.
So you are a successful entrepreneur with a thriving web development business, and you may or may not fall asleep in the middle of this interview.
You never know.
How does it happen? Like it's just like boom, and you're sleeping?
For me, it feels pretty much like that. If you've ever been on your phone playing games or scrolling too late at night, and you have that moment where all of a sudden, like, you do that, you drop the phone, maybe.
Yes.
It's like that for me. There is some sort of warning, though, because I have a service dog who detects it about 15 minutes before it's going to happen. So although as the human, I can't feel it, she can.
That's amazing. Do you understand how? Is it she's picking something up?
Well, I think she might be an angel, first of all. But in all seriousness, it's something with scent. So they'll start sniffing. I had another one before her. She's the second now. And they start sniffing. And sometimes she'll do it and then no reaction. And other times she'll sniff and then immediately is pawing at me. So I take medication so I don't fall asleep.
So
And
that's the signal. It's a pawing.
mhm,
And then you take a medication and it works.
ASAP. And she will watch me put it in my mouth and then she stops pawing immediately.
Wow. What's her name?
Her name is Quinn.
Quinn. Coffee doesn't work?
I wish. I love coffee. It is my favorite food. But this is a different level of sleepiness and tiredness. If you've ever had the flu, I'm sure you have, right? We all have.
Mm-hmm.
And you have that level of exhaustion where you go to bed, you just can't do anything. And then you wake up and you still feel wrecked,
Yeah.
still exhausted.
Yeah.
That's me every morning for the rest of my life.
Oh, gosh. I hope not. But if you say so. So you
Never
wake up
know with
tired.
signs. Oh, so tired all the time.
Well, all right. And you wrote this book, Don't
Sure
Snooze
did.
Your Dreams. What's the book about?
It's centered around the story of getting diagnosed with narcolepsy and then everything that came after that. So that confusing period, not knowing what was happening for years, all the way through to now, where I have a very successful business, great marriage, awesome dog, and have started a couple of years ago speaking on stages. And everything that went from no job, no money, no hope, and hey, you're disabled, all the way through to far more successful than the average person of the same age, and how that happened.
How old were you when you got this diagnosis?
I was in my early 20s. And the first time I remember falling asleep in public as an adult, I was 17. So it was about 5 years.
Falling asleep in public. Now, is that like fainting? Like 1 second you're standing and the next thing you know, you're on the ground and your head hurt? Or it's like you got a few seconds.
Few seconds, yes. The first time it happened, I was actually in the middle of a test in an exam, and we were looking at slides on a microscope. And I don't remember falling asleep, but I remember waking up and have how much it hurt and the bruises on my eyes afterwards because of all the pressure I put on the microscope from sleeping.
Okay. And
Yeah,
can you drive?
I can now. They take your license when you're first diagnosed, which I was very angry about at the time, but they have to do it. It's about
Yeah.
safety.
Yeah.
So I had just bought my first ever car on an 8-year payment plan, which I do not recommend, by the
Oh
way.
God. Uh-huh.
But I had worked so hard and saved my money and I wanted it. And then they took my license. And you can't return a car that's brand new. They don't let you do that. And so I got to see every day that car in the parking lot when I took my dog out to go pee, just parked there, as every 2 weeks money came out of my account for it.
Mm,
It's awful.
yeah. Do you still have the car?
I do actually. It's nearing the end of its life, but I'm pretty determined to drive it into the ground. I feel like it's part of the story at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. You worked so hard for it.
Yeah, but
Okay.
as is the other car, which is a beautiful Aston Martin sports car, because once I was allowed to drive again, I wanted to drive and really, really enjoy it. And every year when it comes out of winter storage, that first drive, I get I tear up and most times cry. Sometimes on that drive because it's that literally powerful reminder of what I wasn't allowed to do for quite a long period.
Yeah. I imagine so many people with this diagnosis make their world very small and give up on their hopes and dreams. And I gather you did not do that. And I suppose that's what your book is about, not
Yeah.
pressing snooze on your dreams. What do you think was different about your mind, your mindset, or your approach to still believe in the possibility of achieving your dreams?
I really considered what's the risk of trying? If I didn't try to start a business, I would be unemployed, living in my parents' house with no money. If I tried and the worst case happened, I was a total failure, I would be unemployed, living in my parents' house, still with no money. So any other outcome other than the absolute worst was better. So
Hmm.
when I like to think about things in that format. Like, is this actually a risk other than feeling embarrassed if I fail? What's the real risk? And there wasn't. So I went for it. And I mean, anyone with a business knows never easy. And as the business grows, there's new things that happen, new hard things, but the same mindset remains for me. Like, what is the worst that could happen? Okay, now let's go for it. Let's be brave.
Okay. What are some of the things that you went for?
I used to be so afraid of speaking at all
Uh-huh.
that thinking about asking a question at an event into a microphone made me shake so badly that I think if I tried to speak, I would have been like this, like terrified. And so I had to make the choice of building that skill set and practicing. And the only way to practice is to do the scary things and look like an idiot. And for me, it started with Facebook Lives. My business strategist told me to do a Facebook Live every day for a year or until I could do one on the spot at any time, any topic without being afraid.
Wow.
It only took a few months
Uh-huh.
because when you start doing hard things, your resiliency builds so fast. But I won't pretend the first time I didn't cry like a baby for at least 20 minutes before hitting go.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And that's actually really insightful for my audience who are speakers and entrepreneurs who want to be speaking. And so many of them have never done a live video and have quite a visceral opposed resistance, you know. And I've challenged people 10 days. I've never challenged someone 365 days. And more often than not, at the end of the 10 days, they're like just so confident and happy and getting great response. And it's such a short gap between so scary to so easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask you something very tactical, like How did you do it? When did you do it? Did you like say, I'm going to do it first thing in the morning? Did you do it while you were out on a walk? Were you thinking
Yeah.
all day, I should do it, I should do it, I should do it? And finally, before I go to bed, you go, I'm going to do it. How did you make it work?
The first few, I waited so close to midnight so that it was still today. So I
Uh-huh.
wasn't breaking the rule.
Uh-huh.
But that was fear talking. I was overthinking, over preparing, staring at the mirror, obsessing about like, oh, is my eyebrows perfect? If my eyebrows aren't perfect or my mascara is not perfect, then people will hate my video. What? Like, that is just your brain playing tricks on you,
Yeah.
giving you excuses. I now, when I need to produce content, I do it in the earlier part of the day, around 11 to 1 p.m., because the light is the best. I mean, we're here right now filming using just window light.
Yeah.
And then you get to go through the rest of your day with the confidence that you did something hard, you're a capable person, and there's an emotional high to that.
So this takes me to this idea of resiliency. And I'm gathering from what you're saying that resiliency is something that you build over time through this, doing the hard thing, feeling the high, then the hard thing becomes easier, and you're reinforcing this I can do hard things belief. Uh, what have you learned about resiliency? And when you're invited to speak on this topic, correct?
That's right.
And what are your kind of main points to share with your audiences about resiliency?
Mhm. So the concept of escalating small steps every day, again and again and again, is a major part of the conversation. We all like to see those big wow stories, right? Massive weight loss, huge business growth, um, whole house renovations. The reality is, nothing great or hard happens instantly. And it's the escalation of the small steps that sadly not enough people share that part of their journey. That's where the real power comes in. And so with the audiences, we tailor the stories within the speaking engagement to match the type of audience, whether it's real estate brokers or union members or business owners, for example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Now, you're in this website business, web development business. And how long have you been in it?
12 and a half years now.
So my guess is it's changed completely multiple times.
Very much.
And I get the emails from people saying I can make you a website for $25. And
Yeah.
now we have AI that claims to, I could just ask AI one question, the whole website's built.
Yeah.
You must have yeah, what's going on with websites these days?
Mhm. So if you're in brand new startup mode, you haven't made money yet, you should use one of those free or cheap do it yourself tools. You should not be hiring a pro like my team until your business is making you money. You upgrade over time your presence. It's like most things, right? If you're buying a suit, your first suit is not the one you're going to have 20 years into your career.
Hmm.
And the simple fact is that established businesses, they lose money with the time it takes to fiddle with tools, to work with people who are inexperienced, and losing money is not part of running a successful business. So our ideal clients respond very strongly to our website in a day, which is where they come to us on site or us to them. And in one day together, we will build them a site that is super high level, high converting. And that can happen because our whole team is working on it. So it's very condensed time for them. But in reality, it's still a 40-hour build. It's just there's 5 of us working on it at the same time with the owner. So very, very unique offering.
That is remarkable. You said some very salient points that I want to make sure our audience hears. One is that if you are not making money, don't hire a website development company because good ones are very expensive.
Mhm.
Uh, it's for the companies that are making money and don't want to learn how to build a website.
Yep.
And then you also told me something that really matches a pain point because I've had websites developed and I feel like by the time they're done, I'm actually kind of like I'm in a totally different place. Like I'm a new person. Like
So common.
this website is like who I was a year ago when I hired you to get started.
Yep.
Um, so website in a day is amazing, and I'm a big proponent of making big projects simple through time constraints.
You got it.
And you also said one thing that I think a lot of web designers miss, which is that you build a high converting website, meaning
Yep.
that the website generates sales. Because I think a lot of web designers build a really pretty website, but I can't find anywhere where do I buy or where do I book the call? That's not
Right.
converting to the sale. So I love that you have speed as a core value, that you have conversion as your primary focus. And I really appreciate the message you're giving to startups and new entrepreneurs. Like, it's not where you start with a
Oh,
big, robust website.
I in fact recommend that you dedicate a whole weekend when you're in startup mode. Start on Friday after you finish your real work, your client work. Sit down, start building the site. This includes the colors, the logo, the writing, the photos, all of it. And by Sunday afternoon, you have to click publish. And
Hmm.
then you don't touch that thing until you've made $100,000.
So good. Yeah. So I know one of your specialties is automations.
Mhm.
And my guess is with your narcolepsy, automations are very helpful. So you don't have
Yes.
the luxury of 16-hour days, 7 days a week. You might be lucky if you have 4 hours of good work every
Mhm.
day. And I actually learned productivity and automation through a guy called Ari Meisel through
Mhm.
this group, Archangel. And he had something called Crohn's disease that made it so he had effectively 1 hour of productivity a day.
Wow.
And it made him the world's most efficient entrepreneur. So
Mhm.
he came out of that. He now has not dealing with that issue all the time. But he's extremely efficient with his automations and and he loves his the bots and the AIs and the Zapiers and the
All the
this
magic.
this form activates that thing um and I've built a few workflows. In fact, you're in the middle of one of them. You're in the middle of my podcast workflow,
Mhm.
which had an automation. And when we're done with this, it's going to automatically send the video to my assistant that's going to finish the process and post the things. Um, so tell me about your relationship with automation and how you work with your clients on that.
It's not even a luxury, it's a necessity. Anything that is a repeatable task where it's done the same way each time, like the workflow you outlined, or a common one. A client books a consult call. If you have to copy paste any part of the information they submitted at any point in your process, then there's opportunity for automation. All your systems, your appointment booking, estimating, invoicing, project management, portfolio and review generation, the whole process needs to be connected, or you're simply giving away moments of your time again and again and again for no value to the customer. They don't care or know or want to know if you have an assistant doing it, if you're doing it, or if automation does it.
Okay.
So automate it.
So you're working with your customers, not just building their websites, but you're helping them with their systems and their automations as well.
Yeah. I'd say most of our website in a day customers within about a year come to us with the very exciting comment of, I'm drowning. I can't handle all these leads. And we say,
Mm-hmm.
awesome, time to do automation in a day then. It's the next natural step once time becomes biggest constraint rather than my alarm system works really well.
Yes.
Um,
So you do automation in a day as well.
yes, but only for clients that we already have a relationship with. So it's a secret.
I love that. You know what? You're inspiring me to do my work in a day. Because you know what I found? Um, I have a process where I help people build their personal brand, build a signature speech. That's okay. We got some big dogs barking.
The dog alarm system is now outside. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Yeah, what I've found when I'm speaking to business owners who are very busy and very successful, they want to do my 12-week program in one day.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll fly in and they'll sit in this very room, and we will do my whole 12-week program in one day.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I bet they get
and
results really fast too, don't they?
Yeah, and it's the same issue I mentioned with web development, where if it's going to span 6 months, there's going to be like a lot of change in that 6 months. But if we can do it all in a day, it's clear, it's done. We have the strategy. In my case, we have the message and the speech built. And I love that. High
And they can
touch.
start booking stages and getting an ROI immediately. And
Yeah.
it's the same model for our web clients. I think because time is a luxury I have less of than the average person, I treat it with a lot more respect and importance. And anytime I can hire a professional to do something in a condensed way, I will always choose that option. I don't
Very
care if
good.
it costs more.
Yeah.
I get the results sooner, which means I get the money, start making that money back sooner too.
Do you ask your clients for website in a day? Do you ask them just show up with a smile, we'll have a coffee and we'll just roll up our sleeves? Or do
Mhm.
you give them some things to prepare?
I've noticed there's two types of people for
Mm,
website in a day. What they both have in common is they make fast decisions. This service is not for people that need to spend an hour or two thinking about every decision. It has to be, you have to know your brand and yourself where you can choose yes, no, A, B quickly.
hmm.
Most successful business owners can do that. I think it's a skill that's part of that growth over time. What's different within this group is there's some people who they don't even have time to do the prep. They want to show up on that day, having paid, and let's do this thing. The second group wants to prepare in advance, and they will get more pages on their website by the end of their day because we're not starting from zero.
Hmm.
But those who don't want to invest the time to prepare, they would rather have 5 or 6 pages and truly have just spent one day on it. And it's fun working with both types.
Very good. Yeah, that makes sense. You have an event coming up in Ottawa, Canada, with the one and only business legend Lisa Larder.
Indeed.
What is this event about?
It is an automation AI event. So it is on the 2nd of June, and we will be doing live AI work. So at the end of the day, all the people who come will have their own custom AI bot that writes like them, talks like them, and produces answers that represent them instead of the generic AI that is mostly what's available.
So one day, bring your laptop.
Yeah. And following my mantra, it's condensed and it's done that day. You leave with it working immediately to get your ROI.
This makes me so happy. One day.
One day.
Fantastic. June 2nd. I'd like to be there. What are you charging for your tickets?
The tickets are currently for a few more weeks on early bird pricing, which if you go to ottawaAIevent.com, you will be able to buy them. And it is $12.49 until April 30th. And then after that, it'll be $14.99.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So we've covered narcolepsy, your book, speaking on resilience, web development in a day, automation in a day, soon to be this 1 day event, AI, build your own bot in a day. Um, Tell me about your vision for the legacy you'd like to create with speaking on more stages and sharing more about what you've learned through life, narcolepsy, business.
I thought that speaking on stages was something people with disabilities didn't really do, particularly those with a service dog, until I saw at an event called Archangel a speaker named Haben, and she had a service dog with her. And this was still at the time where I was terrified to speak into a microphone at all. But seeing her on stage smashed this glass ceiling that I didn't even know was in my mind.
Mm.
And since beginning to speak on stages, my favorite part is afterwards when I make sure to stay. So those who want to come, they always find me really quickly and they'll share something they've been hiding or a glass ceiling they thought they had. And where my speaking on resiliency changed something in their mind and they'll never be the same again in the best way. That feeling, there's no feeling like that. And I know what the people who've given me that feeling, it's a life-changing thing. There's no greater
Mhm.
gift.
Mm. That's great. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you on June 2nd in Ottawa with Lisa Larter and seeing you on more stages. Resiliency, I think we can all learn from your experience. And, as you were saying, we all struggle with something.
Everyone.
We don't all have a diagnosis, a condition. We don't all have an adorable dog to let us know when it's about to happen. Um, But I think we were having a conversation before we pressed record about how like we all have something and most of us end up doing our best to hide it just so we can function
Yep.
through life.
Mhm.
And I love that you're sharing what you've learned and that I don't know if you're considered a proud narcoleptic person, but you certainly don't let it stop you.
Thank you. Like it's, as you said, everyone has something. And maybe it's you had a rough childhood or a terrible divorce, or maybe you're a caregiver for someone, right? It's not just health stuff, but you hide all of those things day to day to be able to perform in society, mostly out of fear of judgment, thinking if everyone finds out, they'll reject me. I had that fear for years. But once I stopped hiding, all of that energy that was being used to hide was then redirected into thriving.
Okay, I have two questions. The first question is, with each challenge, we sort of develop these compensating skills that become like superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
If you had great trauma, you all usually end up having like a lot of empathy, right?
Yeah.
And in your case with narcolepsy, it's created some automation. It's created like this bias towards getting things done quickly. What other gifts and superpowers do you recognize in yourself that you've developed as a result of this challenge?
I very much become someone who stands up when I see something wrong,
Mm,
because when you have a service dog and you look normal, there's rarely a day that there's not some sort of open discrimination that happens. And on the rare occasions where a total stranger steps in to do the right thing, it is incredible. And so, much to the chagrin sometimes of my husband and friends, when I see something happening that's not right, I will stop what I'm doing and go and be that person. And it's scary. Like, you don't know what's going to happen when you insert yourself in a situation. And I'm talking about customer service things, things where there's legal protections that are not being honored. But when you're that person who keeps being stepped on all the time, it's exhausting every time you have to stand up for what is not just what's right, it's what's the law. So that has created that trait in me where
mhm.
I know how exhausting it is to be that person. And so I'm happy to carry some of that labor for everybody else.
Thank you. Okay, so for people interested in connecting with you because they want you to give a keynote speech at their next upcoming meeting on resiliency, or they want to hire you to be their web developer, how should or they want to get your book,
Mhm.
uh, where do we send them? Where should they go?
My website is michelleweger.com, Weger. And the book is sold literally everywhere books are sold. So Barnes and Noble, Indigo, Amazon, and even your local corner bookstore can bring in copies.
And it's called Don't Snooze Your Dream.
That's the one. Bestseller.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Thank you for being on the Expert Speaker Podcast.
Thank you.